students, hope you all will be doing well. Today we will study significant figures, percentage composition by mass, empirical formula, and molecular formula. Ever wonder how chemists know the exact formula of a substance? Well, it all comes down to some really core calculations. In this explainer, we're going to break down exactly how it's done.
So here's our game plan. We'll start with the basics of precision and how to calculate percentages. Then we'll use that to figure out a compound's simplest formula. And finally, we'll put all the pieces together to find the true, full molecular formula. Let's get into it.
All right, first up, precision and percentage. Before we can even think about analyzing compounds, we absolutely have to get the rules of precision right in our calculations. This is the foundation for everything else we're going to do.
So how do we handle precision in chemistry? We use something called significant figures. The best way to think about them is that they're all the digits you're sure about in a measurement, plus one that's a little bit of an estimate. Now the big rule, and you've got to remember this, is that your calculations are only as strong as your weakest link. Your final answer can't be more precise than your least precise piece of data.
The following are critical points regarding this heading. Please examine them closely as they are highly significant from an examination perspective.
Let's put this into practice and see what it actually looks like. Here's our first problem. How many moles of calcium oxide, CaO, are in 2.9 grams of the stuff? And we're given the relative atomic masses for calcium and oxygen right there.
Okay, step one is to find the molar mass of CaO. We just add the atomic masses. 40.1 plus 16.0 gives us 56.1 grams per mole. Simple enough. Next, to get the moles, we divide the mass we have by that molar mass. So 2.9 divided by 56.1. And you get a really long decimal on your calculator. This is exactly where significant figures come in. Our starting measurement, 2.9 grams, only has two significant figures. That means our answer has to be rounded to two significant figures as well, which gives us our final answer, 0.052 moles.
Okay, now let's talk about what a compound is made of. The percentage composition by mass tells us exactly how much of a compound's total weight comes from each element inside it. The formula looks a little long, but it's actually pretty straightforward. You just take the total mass of the element you're interested in, divide it by the molar mass of the whole compound, and then multiply by 100 to turn it into a percentage. Let's try it out. We need to figure out the percentage by mass of iron in iron 3 oxide, which has the formula Fe2O3. All right, first things first, let's get the total mass of the iron. The formula says we have 2 iron atoms, so that's 2 times 55.8, which is 111.6. Next, we need the molar mass for the entire compound, Fe2O3. That comes out to 159.6. Now we're ready to plug those numbers into our formula. We divide 111.6 by 159.6 and multiply the result by 100. And that gives us our answer, 69.9%.
This is where things start to get really interesting. Let's move on to deducing empirical formulas. We're going to take what we've just learned about mass and use it to figure out a compound's simplest possible formula.
Before we go any further, let's make sure we're super clear on something. What's the difference between an empirical formula and a molecular formula? Well, the empirical formula is the simplest whole number ratio of the atoms. The molecular formula, on the other hand, shows the actual total number of atoms. So for hydrogen peroxide, its real molecular formula is H2O2, but its simplest ratio, its empirical formula, is just HO. For butane, C4H10, the simplest ratio you can get is C2H5. It's a really important distinction, so keep it in mind. Okay, time to put this into practice. Let's say, in an experiment, 0.486 grams of magnesium is burned, and it forms 0.806 grams of magnesium oxide. Our mission is to figure out the empirical formula from that data. The best way to tackle these is with a table. So, we know the mass of magnesium is 0.486 grams. Now, if the final product weighed 0.806 grams, then the mass of the oxygen that was added must just be the difference between the two, which is 0.320 grams. Next, we convert both of these masses into moles by dividing by their atomic masses. And look at that, we get 0.0200 moles for both of them. To get the ratio, we divide both of those mole values by the smallest one, which in this case is the same number. That gives us a beautiful simple 1-to-1 ratio. And so the empirical formula has to be MgO.
Ready for one that's a little bit trickier? Let's say 1.55 grams of phosphorus burns and forms 3.55 grams of some kind of phosphorus oxide. What's its empirical formula? We're going to follow the exact same process. Step 1, find the masses. We've got 1.55 grams of phosphorus and 2.00 grams of oxygen. Step 2, convert to moles. We get 0.05 moles of phosphorus and 0.125 moles of oxygen. Step 3, divide by the smallest number of moles, which is 0.05, and this gives us a ratio of 1 to 2.5. Now wait a minute, we can't have half an atom in a formula, right? So this brings us to a super important fourth step. If you get a decimal, you have to multiply both numbers by something to make them whole. In this case, multiplying by 2 works perfectly. That gives us a nice clean ratio of 2 to 5. So the formula is P2O5.
So what happens if we're not given masses, but percentages? Let's take a look at a hydrocarbon that is 85.7% carbon and 14.3% hydrogen by mass. How in the world do we find its empirical formula?
Well, the trick here is actually really simple. You just pretend you have a 100-gram sample of the stuff. If you do that, the percentages just magically become the mass in grams. So we have 85.7 grams of carbon and 14.3 grams of hydrogen. From there, the process is exactly the same as before. We divide by the atomic mass to get the moles, then divide by the smallest mole value to find the ratio. And what do we get? A simple ratio of 1 to 2, which makes the empirical formula CH2. Easy, right?
The following are critical points regarding this heading. Please examine them closely as they are highly significant from an examination perspective.
And that brings us to our final section, finding the molecular formula. Now we're going to take that simplest ratio we just learned how to find and use it to figure out the true, complete formula of a molecule. This is the last piece of the puzzle.
Here is the one key concept you need for this part. The molecular formula is always a simple whole number multiple of the empirical formula. It might be exactly the same, or it could be 2 times bigger, 3 times bigger, you get the idea.
Okay, time to bring everything we've learned together. A certain compound has the empirical formula CH2Br. We're also told its total relative molecular mass is 187.8. Our mission, deduce the actual molecular formula. We can do this in 3 easy steps. First, let's find the mass of our empirical formula, our basic building block. The mass of CH2Br adds up to 93.9. Second, we find our multiplier. We just divide the true molecular mass by the mass of our building block. So, 187.8 divided by 93.9 gives us a nice clean multiplier of 2. Finally, we just apply that multiplier to our empirical formula. That means we multiply every atom in CH2Br by 2.
And that gives us our final answer, C2H4Br2. And just like that, we've gone from a simple ratio and a total mass to the complete, true molecular formula of the compound. Pretty cool.
The following are critical points regarding this heading. Please examine them closely as they are highly significant from an examination perspective.
All right, let's do a super quick recap of what we covered. We saw that you must use significant figures to keep your answers precise. We learned how percentage composition shows us what a compound is made of by mass. We practiced finding the empirical formula, that's the simplest ratio, from experimental data. And finally, we used that empirical formula to find the molecular formula, which is the true formula for the molecule. We have covered a lot of ground today, and I really hope you're feeling more confident with these kinds of calculations. To leave you with a little something to think about, now that you have this powerful tool, the ability to determine a molecule's formula, what other properties of that molecule do you think you could predict just from this information alone? Thanks for watching.
Essential terms related to topic are displayed organized according to different exam boards. These keywords need careful attention during revision because they are crucial and should never be ignored. Besides this, past paper analysis is provided for each board and paper type. Make sure to focus on it as it will significantly support your preparation. Also aim to understand the usage and meaning of each keyword rather than memorizing them separately. Continuous practice with these terms in past paper question will improve your accuracy and overall performance.
Please subscribe our channel to get more educational videos. Thank you.